All right, dear friends, we're talking to our dear friend Bob Kudla with tradewithlionel.com. You can also find out, remember the number right here, 800-949-1408. Now, why is that important? Well, Bob, I understand that you are super excited, as they say in the biz, about some new products that are absolutely perfect, that you're excited about, that are basically considered synthetic option positions. And I don't want to speak like I know what the hell I'm talking about. What does this mean, and why should people who are paying attention to you and finance and the world of investments, why should this intrigue them?
Yeah, so if if I told you that you can have returns that are between 20% and 120% a year, and your principal is essentially protected in a 10 to 15% band, meaning that you won't get wiped out in a market crash. Would you be interested in that? And obviously, being a lawyer in a courtroom drama, you'd say, of course, it's a
Yes.
rhetorical question.
Or I would
So
think you're out of your mind. I would say, didn't Bernie Madoff say, what are you, crazy? This can't be. Bob, what are you, put down the pipe, Bob. This
yeah,
isn't
this is
real.
amazing.
Or is it?
Yeah, so this is something that has only been the purview of institutional traders or family offices and really active managers to create everybody's probably heard of, what's called call writing. You buy a stock, you sell a call against it, you try to lift your premium on it so that if a stock that you love, you're not going to sell it, you get additional return by selling call options against it. Well, they took it to the next level. And up to a year ago, it wasn't really available to retail traders. And so what they do, instead of buying the stock, they actually buy a call as their anchor position, and they sell a put as their anchor position. And then they leverage the sell side of these options. All that really matters to you is that they're in the business of collecting premiums that are leveraged with options. So, for example, ExxonMobil is one of the stocks that they do this with. I own ExxonMobil personally as a 4% dividend yield. Well, with their product, it's called ExoMO, and they give a 15 to 20% annualized return on ExxonMobil. Well, if you like ExxonMobil and you've been doing call writing, well, you're getting a 3 times additional return on it. They do this with Apple. They do it with Microsoft. They do it with NVIDIA. In fact, NVIDIA and the Bitcoin proxies like Coinbase and MicroStrategy have been paying out annualized yields of 90 to 120%. So if you still believe in the Bitcoin story, which you should, those companies will do well over time, and you'll be collecting a premium that gets paid monthly. So, a 120% annualized dividend is basically a 10% monthly dividend check. It's absolutely insane. And I know they work because I've been doing these manually for years. It takes a lot of work to do it. When one of my customers said, hey, Bob, you need to look at these things. These things are amazing. I looked at them like, oh my gosh, they're a game changer. So that's the first part of it. The second part of it, they come up with an ability to go long and short the same stock, and you collect a premium, just like a real estate broker really doesn't care what the price of the house is. They're going to collect their commission on the sale of the property. Well, these work the same way. You can go long Tesla through one of these ETFs, and you can go short Tesla through one of these ETFs. And last month they paid out a dividend of almost 50%, and your band of your principal movement was like, was like between 5 and 10% movement. Okay. And I track it. And what we do is we bias the trade. If Tesla's trending up, we have more on the long side than we have on the short side. And we track these for our clients, and we tell them whether they should be 100% invested in this, hedged, or 100% invested on the short side. And we've been in this one trade since the end of June, and it's paying out right now almost 11% in this pair trade in 6 weeks. Okay, that comes out to about an 80% return on the total portfolio. And so as this market rolls into a bear market, which we expect at some point this year going into next year, they're going to have 6 of these products out there. You can go long and short Apple. You can go long and short the NASDAQ. You can go long and short Tesla, long and short NVIDIA, which is the most overvalued stock in the stock market right now. and you can go long or short Coinbase, which is really kind of like the broker for Bitcoin. And then you just protect yourself, and then you can just sit back, just bias the trade a little bit every month or so, and collect these abnormally high premiums. And people say, well, how can this be, Bob? What about the cash flow of the company? It doesn't matter, the cash flow. All it really matters is how wild the price action is on the underlying. The bigger the action, the higher the premiums you can capture, and the higher the dividends will be.
Now,
and so these are just insanely great. And we've been trading them now for about the past 4 months. I didn't talk about them before because I wanted to make sure that these were real, and then also we can help people, navigate these effectively. And the answer to both those is yes. And we're getting more excited about them by the day.
Now, if somebody right now says, I have no idea what he just said, but I want this. If they were to call 1-800-949-1408 right now, or go to tradewithlionel.com, one or the other, what do they do? Do they say, hello, yes, I want to get that thing Bob Kudla was just talking about? What do they say? What is it called?
Yeah, just say, look, I want the advanced package that Lionel offers. Okay. And make sure if they call, if you just go in, you can pick the advanced package on the website that he has here. Mm-hmm. But if you do call, let them know it's from Lionel, so I can give him credit. But also that you just say, look, I want the advanced package so I can buy these protected positions and get a higher yield. And then Matt will be able to put you in the right program. And look, what we charge for this is nothing to what you get out of it. And in fact, we raised our prices, but we didn't raise them for your listeners. So if you come to my site, you're going to pay more than if you come to Lionel's site. So
there you go.
You're better off just going to Lionel's site here and take advantage of it before I make Lionel raise his prices. I'm teasing. But and that's not a promo. It's just that we want this relationship to be successful. So, but check it out, guys. It's amazing. Especially if you're a boomer like I am and you don't want to be sitting there all day long. I moved personally. I moved over $220,000 into these over the last 4 months. My dividend check on for the end of June was $13,000. So and that's not abnormal. I'm biased more towards the more speculative names of Bitcoin because I believe in Bitcoin. But if let's say you're uber conservative, and you could be in like Exxon Mobil, you get a 20% return, okay, and or you could be in Tesla long and short, and that's averaging out now. Like I said, it's almost 6% a month, in the last 2 months, and your principal is essentially protected. What I call it in a range because it's not a precise, protection, but it's within a band. You're not going to get wiped out, and you can keep trading these ad infinitum. We have customers that jumped on these right away that already paid for these ETFs forever. They've already collected more in premium distribution than they paid for the underlying ETF that it's associated with it. So it's just absolutely amazing. I tell people, check it out, and especially when this market starts going flat like it's been now. We expected a blow off in the market. It's with all the geopolitical turmoil and the internal political turmoil. The markets aren't really breaking out, but we're collecting premium. We don't care.
Right, right.
If the market is flat or the market is up, these are awesome. When the market is down, the pair trade is awesome. And then the other thing too, which has nothing to do with that, when he starts cutting rates, you buy TLT because it'll go up an average of 28 to 31% over the course of a rate cut cycle. And then you could be out of the stock market, with that position and just collect the principal gain, and it pays a dividend too. So we have structures for whatever this market's going to do. We think it's going to be really, really choppy between now and the election, which I think, maybe a big pop here with the expectation of rates cutting. But after they cut the rates, I think we're going to come down. Volatility is increasing, which makes being in the market tough, except if you're in these trades, you're being well paid for the risk by these super high yields that come out.
And Bob, when you go to, but for somebody who's just listening, if you go to Trade with Lionel and you say, I'm not sure, again, I'm sure a lot of people know precisely what you're saying. But in the event that somebody says this is intriguing, this is where you go to learn. It's not a world of confusion when you go to tradewithlionel.com specifically, or if you
Yeah.
call 800-949-1408 and mention you heard this with Lionel. You're guided, you're assisted, you're educated. It's not just here, good luck, have a nice day.
Yeah, so I'm in the room just like you and I are talking. It's not video chat, but it's voice chat, and people ask me questions all day long about these products and other trades as well. So, yeah, you get a master class in, and I'm not the only one. I mean, some of my customers are probably better traders than I am. So there's some really good talent in there, and they're all like-minded people. And everybody wants everybody to win. You'd be amazed at stuff that these people share that they don't have to share. They're paying me actually, and they're giving out gold nuggets to people. So it's a really good room.
Right.
Some of my customers call it you're in the think tank. And we have a lot of experience across different sectors. So we kind of get a read in if a sector is starting to get risky or not. So it's a really good place to be. That's the advanced package. If you just want to get the basic signals, you pick the basic package. But I just encourage people, you pay a couple $100 more a month, a year, and you get this. People say I should be charging 5 to 10 times what I'm charging. It's not really my style. I want this affordable, and I want people to make a lot of money, because if you make money, I don't lose money. We all can win together. So, and everything we do is totally transparent, Michael,
Right.
as you know. So we do every trade's posted, every stop and every target's posted. And like I said, we actually put out how you should be biased on these pair trades. So every day I put a note out there saying if price gets to here or here, this is how you have to adjust your positioning. Otherwise, just sit back and enjoy the dividend that's coming at the end or the middle of the month.
Now, another thing too is for people to understand, Bob, irrespective of politics, irrespective of who wins, who loses, up and down, you always position yourself accordingly. You are not only able to act provided a certain wind, a certain condition. You act no matter what. If energy's up, if oil's down, you act accordingly. But I must ask this question. What do you think is happening right now? What will this talk about volatility in the markets? What about the volatility in the elections? Who's in, who's out? What does that play, if anything, in the world of investing?
Yeah, so right now the markets are anticipating a Trump victory. So you're starting to see some positioning, towards that end. Look, if Trump wins, we're going to be more mercantilistic, which means that we're going to bring, we're going to force jobs back into the country through higher tariffs. Okay. That's good or bad. I mean, I think we're a little naive to think we can have an open market because nobody else around the world has open markets.
Right.
So the only really possibility for us to avoid a default is to create what's called an internal cauldron of economic velocity so that you could capture the tax streams coming in to be able to pay for the government spending that we have. And so that does two things. One, it affects foreign policy. So you have China's the big loser there. I'm sure he's going to sweeten the thing for Korea and Japan because they're close allies, and same with Vietnam, and they also contain China. So watch for that. Mexico is going to be a big loser with Trump because they actively campaigned against him. Okay, mm-hmm. The president's a leftist down there. And he's essentially going to shut that border down. He's going to kick back the illegals, and he's going to make it more difficult for Mexico to exact their foreign policy against us. So that's going to happen on the side. You're going to expect probably the left to be enraged, okay, and so that'll cause some sort of unknowns out there.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing I would say of worry is that, for some reason, the left has decided that they need to be in power at all costs. And so we may get more attempts on Donald Trump's life or even Supreme Court members. So those are unknowns that can really change the velocity and trajectory of our country. If the Democrats get in, it looks like it's Kamala Harris is going to run against him. I think it's going to be an all-out war against productive citizens. And then I think we'll go into probably a depression. So,
Thanks a lot, Bob. Appreciate it. Thank you. That's great. But it's
well,
true.
look, she's a leftist, and she's beholden to very, very radical policies because that's her voting base, and it's going to be really tough. And look, they've shown that it doesn't matter what the legislative or the judicial branch wants. The executive branch is doing whatever they want. They ignore Congress. They don't arrest people they should arrest. They arrest people they shouldn't arrest. And I think it'll get to a point where it'll cause, I think, civil discord in the country. That's probably the nicest way to say a really nasty thing. And so you have to be prepared for that. And so at any rate, you're looking at probably Bitcoin's going to be a good trade. Oil's going to be a good trade. And gold and silver are going to be good trades. Right. Because of the velocity, the volatility and the chaos and the money printing that's going to go on. So
it's very interesting
where we are.
It's very interesting, Bob, that you say that, because one of the best indicators, I love to ask, for example, one of the whenever you're trying to handicap elections, ask where media buy is going, because you always know who's running and who's not because of who's buying all the media, especially in the big markets. And you also look to, especially here in New York in particular, I know a lot of folks in, quote, Wall Street, they always know, always. It's like they are the best handicappers of what's happening in a very dispassionate way. Not because they want it one way or another, but they have to know where things go. And I'm sure it's always been like this, but I've never seen anything where two different parties can result in two drastically different vectors that will affect the country drastically and negatively if done incorrectly. So you've got me terrified.
This is Roosevelt 2.0. Remember, Roosevelt went to stack the Supreme Court. He went to do a lot of very radical things. The Republican Party at that time was 100% pro-business, so it's a little different than today. Right. Today we're more, what's the word they use for people that are pro-country now? I know progressive.
Nationalism.
Populist.
Populist.
Yeah. Right. So I think there's a shift. Look, you had a Teamster president at the Republican National Convention. So you're just seeing a realignment here of people. And so I think this is really not a case of left or right anymore. It's it's a case of right and catastrophe. And I don't know what it is. This is not my father's Democratic Party. Okay,
exactly. Exactly.
It's almost like they're trying to create some sort of meltdown. And
it's funny you say that, and not to be political, but politics is important. Whenever you talk to anybody who is, and I'm just going to use this term left and right just for shorthand, but when you talk to somebody on the right or Republican, they will be able to give you and articulate certain positions and ideas and thoughts and factors and wishes, regarding education or business or family or war or whatever. When you talk to a lot of people who comprise this world called the left, a lot of times their primary motivation will be anti-Trump. So imagine Bob Kudla's restaurant. What do you have? We don't have Italian. But what do you have? It ain't Italian. Nobody would ever have a business by being the opposite of something that doesn't exist. So that is a very interesting aspect that we look to. Bob, final words. If somebody calls up right now and says, I love this guy, I love it, I want to be involved in this, and I'm a little bit trepidatious, again, to go to Trade with Lionel, but I think the best is to call 800-949-4208 and say, listen, I just saw Bob Kudla with Lionel, and I went in. One more time, what do they have to do to jump into this?
Yeah, so
wonderful, exciting effort.
Once you pay, you get a welcome package from us and then get access to our Discord channel. And then if you buy the advanced package, you get access to the voice channel too. And then we put the trades out every day. Okay, good. So you get trades every day. And then also you get access to the conversations we have in the room. When we talk about these pair trades every day, we talk about these yield products every day. And then we just talk about generally where we think the market's going to go. But every day, even if you knew nothing about the stock market and you just wanted to take the recommended probability of a good trade, you could just pick the trades and take them. So, or you could really do a deep dive you can buy some coaching, or you can just sit and listen for a couple weeks and catch up on
Right.
the stream and go. But it's look, we don't do anything crazy. So all the stocks that we buy are well-known names. The market has a rhythm. We have an algorithm, and we just trade that algorithm, and we win 2 out of 3 trades. We have positive profit factor. Sorry, and so the dog agrees, and my wife just came home from work. So you have you have basically our algorithm on that side. Sorry about that.
Listen, don't apologize. It's amazing how you do that. By the way, Bob is a ventriloquist. He has no dog. It's the most incredible thing. How he does it, I have no idea.
And that's
Bob
free.
Kudla. Bob Kudla, tradewithlionel.com, but specifically 800-949-1408. I always learn so much. You are the most. And by the way, remember, if you don't want to know what's going on, if you really want to have no clue as to what's happening in the world, watch financial shows on TV. You'll know nothing. You will have not a clue as to what's going on. But you are bare bones, and you're very, very well. Listen, I've known you for years. You're honest. Your track record, your approval rating, people love you because you are what you are. And that's the most important thing. Transparent.
Just remember, Kramer said that Biden will not exit the election.
Right. He also owned that. Right. There's the old joke. I just bought a chain of tall and big men shop in Beijing. Different things, different jokes. Anyway, Bob Kudla, thank you, my dear friend. Tradewithlionel.com. But better yet, call 800-949-1408 and tell them you want the super advanced, super duper package that Bob and Lionel were talking about. Bob Kudla, always a pleasure, my friend. All the best to you, sir.